Hey everybody, welcome back to another vector statics worked problem video. In this video we're doing another two-dimensional rigid body equilibrium problem, but it's an interesting one because we're going to leverage the fact that the structure contains a three-fourths member. Okay, so this is a setup of the problem here. There's a ring of radius 140 millimeters, that's this blue circle here, and it's dangling from a string or a rope attached to the wall at point A, and also at point B on the circumference of the ring. It's also resting against the wall at point C. Other information that we're given is that the mass of the ring is 2 kilograms and that the wall is frictionless. And so the question is asking us several things. It's asking us for the tension in this rope AB. It's asking for the reaction at point C, that's the reaction force at the wall. And it's also asking for this length D, which is the distance from the contact point of the ring with the wall and the attachment point of the string at point A. So it seems like this problem is pretty involved, but actually if we make one key observation, the problem is actually reduced to something quite simple. So starting with the free body diagram for the ring, what we know is that there's certainly a weight associated with this ring. So there's a force downward, which we'll call W. That's just going to be equal to m times g, where m is the 2 kilogram mass. There's also going to be a reaction at point C. That's the force that the wall imparts on the ring. And because the wall was assumed to be frictionless, what we know is that the reaction at point C must be normal to the surface of the wall. In other words, there's no vertical component to this reaction because there's no frictional force between the wall and the ring. And then lastly, there's got to be some tension force holding this ring in place. So this is the force applied to the ring by the rope or cable AB. Now one question that you might be asking is, what direction is this tension force going? Is it going perpendicular to the tangent of the ring? Is it vertical? Is it horizontal? We're not exactly sure right now what direction that tension force is going. But one thing that we do know is that there are three forces acting on this ring, which makes the ring a three-force member. And so one of the properties of three-force members is that all of the lines of action of the three forces must intersect at a single point. So what we know so far is certainly the weight vector is vertical, so its line of action is up and down. We know that the reaction force at point C is going to be horizontal because, again, the wall is frictionless, so there's no vertical component. RC is horizontal, and their two line of actions intersect at the midpoint of the circle. But again, because this is a three-force member, that also means that the tension force must have a line of action that also intersects with that point. And so that actually gives us some key information here to figure out the direction of that tension force. Now, as with any three-force members, we can always construct the force triangle because the three forces acting on the member comprise the three sides of the triangle. So what we have is W, the weight vector, going down. We have RC going straight to the right. And then we have the tension vector as the third side to the force triangle. Now W, this vector here, that's equal to mg. And we were given that the mass is 2 kilograms, and using 9.81 meters per second squared as the acceleration due to gravity, we can calculate that the weight is 19.6 newtons. Now this vector here is RC. This is the reaction at C. And what we know is that there's a right angle between the weight vector and the reaction at C, because weight is vertical, RC is horizontal. Now the tension vector over here, we're not exactly sure, but we ought to be able to sort out what this angle alpha is by using the given geometry. So I'll use a different color here to denote that we're no longer talking about forces, we're actually talking about lengths. And what I mean by that is we can use some of the given geometry of the problem to help us solve this force triangle. So the distance from A, let's just call this point here at the center, let's call that point G. The distance from point A to point G is the length of the cable, which was given as 125 millimeters, plus the radius of the ring, which was given as 140 millimeters. So this length here, 140 plus 125. This length here, the lower length of the triangle, well, that's the distance from point C to point G. The distance from point C to point G is just the radius of the ring. So that gives us this length here, 140 millimeters. Then actually the height of this triangle, that's one of the variables that we're trying to solve. That's just this unknown length D. So from here to here, we're calling that length D, but we can actually solve for that distance straight away because this is just a right triangle. So just applying the Pythagorean theorem, we can figure out that D is equal to 225 millimeters. So that was one of the 3 questions that we were asked. Another one was to figure out the tension in cable AB. Now, filtering out the magenta stuff here, just looking back at the actual force triangle in yellow, we can actually get this alpha by doing a little bit of trig on the side here. So alpha is just equal to the arc cosine of adjacent, which is 140, over the hypotenuse, which is 140 plus 125, or 265. And so alpha we can calculate as about 58.1 degrees, which also implies, of course, that beta has got to be equal to 180 degrees total in the triangle, minus 90 degrees for the right angle, minus alpha, which we just calculated. So beta is going to work out to be about 31.9 degrees. Beta, of course, being this third angle up here. Okay, so we're just doing a little bit of trig to populate more of our force triangle here. But now that we have all of the angles and one of the sides of the triangle, finding the other 2 sides is actually quite straightforward. So we can apply law of sines a couple of times here. Okay, so tension over the sine of the opposite angle here, the tension over the sine of 90, that should be equal to, say, the weight, which we know, over the sine of its opposite angle. So that would be alpha. Okay, so everything in this equation is known except for tension. And so when we plug in 19.6 for W and 58.1 degrees for alpha, we can calculate the tension is 23.1 newtons. Now all that's left here is really just to solve for the reaction at C. We can do this a couple of different ways. We can just use the Pythagorean theorem really, because we have 2 sides of the right triangle, or we can just apply law of sines again. So we can say RC divided by the sine of its opposite angle, which is beta, it's got to be equal to any of the other ratios. So we can just use T over sine of 90. And everything in this equation is known except for RC. So now we can calculate that RC is equal to 12.2 newtons. Okay, so we've got RC, the tension in the cable AB, as well as the distance D. And I believe those were all the things that we were asked to solve for in this problem. So there you have it. It's another 2-dimensional rigid body equilibrium problem. This one's kind of a special case because we leveraged the fact that this was a 3-force member, and we were able to simplify the math pretty drastically by applying the concept of the force triangle here. Now again, the force triangle really only works when you have 3-force members. When you have multi-force members that are more than 3 forces, then you have to resort back to your equations of equilibrium. If you have a 2-force member, again, that has a special property as well, that the 2 forces share the same line of action. So 2 force members, 3 force members, these are just additional tools that you can put into the same toolbox as your typical sum of forces x and y equals 0 and sum of moments about any point equals 0. Again, a lot of these vector statics problems, they just boil down to identifying which tools are going to be the most efficient to solve that particular problem. And developing that sense for what tools to use, that really only comes with practice and repetition. Okay, so that's going to do it for this one. If you have any questions, just drop them down below. We'll do our best to answer as many as we can. Feel free to browse our channel. We've got literally hundreds of videos produced by the faculty here in the Department of Mechanical Engineering at Cal Poly Pomona. A lot of great resources for a ton of courses in mechanical engineering. Thanks again for watching, and thanks for subscribing to our channel here at Cal Poly Pomona, and we'll see you next time.